Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Unfiltered with Bridget.
And Angie.
And today,
Let's talk about FSBOs, for sale by owner, is what that acronym stands for. I feel like I've seen an influx of, like you see on like all the Facebook pages and people just in general posting that they are selling their home on their own.
Yep.
And I feel that might one be because they want to save money, which I get, times are tough right now.
Yep.
But the other side, I feel like a lot of people have this misconception that they can just do it themselves. A lot of those do-it-yourselfers, you got the do-it-yourself YouTubers for mechanics and garage doors and roofers and all the things. Like they can just look it up and do it themselves, and they don't understand, maybe they don't see the value behind why the profession exists. So maybe if you want to provide a little bit of insight into what you actually do, because some people might think you don't really do anything, just sit there and wait for a paycheck, because it's all about misconception.
It is. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Misconception for sure. I hear a lot that I can just sell the house on my own. I don't need a real estate agent. Selling a home is easy. Buying a home is easy. You're right. During COVID.
Right. Yeah, that was, again, we had an episode a couple of weeks ago, again, dating back to, this is not 2020, 2021. So much has changed, not only over the past 5 years, 6 years, but over the past year, over the past 6 months. Just in the first half of this year, a lot has changed.
Correct. Yeah. Anybody really could sell and buy back during the COVID days because, we skipped home inspections. We would write in appraisal gaps. Sellers were taking anything over asking. They were just taking the highest price, and we didn't have to worry about a home inspection. We didn't have to worry about an appraisal contingency. So yeah, it was relatively easy to buy a home and sell a home as a for sale by owner. Now it is more difficult.
It's a lot more coming back into play now.
Yep, because now we have home inspections that are back. And as we mentioned in one podcast, buyers are really wanting a bunch of stuff changed on home inspections. So you as a seller, do you know how to navigate through that? How, do you know like what really should be changed, or what, you could say, nope, I'm not taking care of that. Obviously, you want to take care of any major defects in general, but what's a serious defect?
Right. And that's all based on your perspective of it. And to keep in mind also, you're in a legally binding contract.
Correct.
And if you don't navigate that correctly, that could have implications as well.
Correct.
On that part of it. And also just the filling out the contract as a whole.
Yep. And making sure that everything is good. You don't leave any open areas.
Because if you miss something,
you could potentially get sued if you misrepresent your property, or you decide to walk away. Like there's so much, and that's why agents need to take continuing education every 2 years, so we stay up on everything,
because everything is changing on my end too. We have constant updates on our guidelines.
Yep, absolutely. So using an agent, you might think that you're going to save money if you don't, and that's not always the case. Studies have found that actually using a real estate agent gets you more money.
Yeah, because you can sell it better, because you can position it and price it right in the market.
Yep, absolutely. And we can negotiate terms, as where a FSBO, for sale by owner, if you're selling your house, you're emotionally connected to your house.
That's true.
So you're like, oh yeah, I can charge this much money because that's what it's worth. But is it really worth that, or is it just your memories?
But how did you get that value?
Exactly.
If you're not looking at the actual data to support it, did you just get that because you feel it should be, you should be that price, or my neighbor's house down the street sold for this, I should be able to get it for my, a lot can vary between those two properties though.
Oh, absolutely. And just by going on, online websites and looking at what your home is
Like, hello.
potentially worth. Right, exactly. They're wrong. They state at the very bottom, I think they're off, is it 12 to 20% or
They're off
something?
by a lot.
Yeah, they are.
And I've actually checked it just out of
Mhm.
curiosity. Like, when I get an appraisal back and looked at like the online pricing, and it's not anywhere near.
No, no. So,
Maybe like 1 out of 100 or 1
right,
out of 10 is
right,
actually correct, but usually
exactly.
it's not.
Yeah. So, yeah, just by saying, well, Zillow said it's this, like, is it?
Right.
You also have to take into account that when you're on all those online sites and they're factoring what your home is estimated, what the worth is they're factoring in what has sold in the area. They don't factor in the condition of your home.
Oh, do they factor in like bedroom and square foot, you think? Like, is that?
You probably, because that
Okay.
is, it is on there, but they don't, they're just going off the stats of what's sold, what's active, what fell through, but it's not actual condition of the property.
Yeah.
So,
Because they don't know that.
correct. Absolutely. So, yeah, using an agent is, especially now, the smartest thing that you can do, because so many homes are falling out due to inspection issues. And I've even had a for sale by owner that I was talking to that lost out on a ton of earnest money because the buyer just decided to walk away, and the seller had no clue what to do. They just thought, oh, okay, and they gave the earnest money back. In hindsight, if you had an agent, you could have fought
Right.
for that earnest money.
Right.
Because that's what earnest money is for, to show that you're serious and you're not just going to walk away. So, but the seller was not aware of that. So there are so many things that for sale by owners don't know. They know the surface stuff.
Right.
And that's it. Like, protect yourself, protect your assets.
It's important to understand too, like for sale by owner, like I as a lender am not a realtor. Like I cannot act as your realtor either. I can't advise you on what to do when it comes to home inspection issues, or if the appraisal comes back with conditions on it, or anything in that regard, or what should you do for this. I am not a licensed agent, so I cannot actually advise you on that. Just like how a title company cannot give you legal advice on what to do with your property. Like they're not lawyers. So we all have a basic knowledge, like understanding of the business, but we're not actually licensed in that. It's important to know that as a lender too, a lender cannot tell you what to do. Like we can't guide you like how an agent can guide you. So if anything does come up, your agent will be the one that help guide you through whatever speed bump that may be. I mean, sometimes they go through just fine, but not always.
Correct.
And that's important to understand is, unless it's like family to family, like I can kind of see that,
Yeah.
but other than that, I mean, usually if it's something that you don't know buying the property from you, you're better to protect yourself by having somebody represent you. And then the buyer also, because then if you're selling it for sale by owner, that means the buyer will be on the hook of their realtor if they want to bring in a realtor, because then that would mean the seller is not offering, compensation for realtors.
But I have had some buyers that have bought a for sale by owner property, and the seller paid the commission. I have had that.
Okay.
Yep, I have had that, but I've also had it flipped too, where the buyer's on the hook.
Right.
So.
And it puts you in a hard spot, because they're like, well, I can't help you unless, there's compensation involved, because, you don't work for free. I mean, you do up until you close,
Right,
but again, you don't work for free. You don't want to add that extra burden on top of your buyer unless they have already budgeted to do that.
Correct.
What are your thoughts or opinions on like real estate attorneys? Like what kind of a role do they play into any of this? Because I don't know that I've actually I've dealt with them before too, but I don't know really much about what they can advise. Like, can they even advise anything when it comes to that, or they just write the contract and call it a day?
Honestly, I'm not 110% sure.
Okay.
I know that I have worked with a couple, like I've had the buyer and the seller has had a real estate attorney. It's tricky because the attorney is more for the paperwork, and they want to edit this out and edit that line out and take this out.
But do they negotiate on your behalf? I guess I'd be curious to see, because they probably don't hold a realtor licensed, right? They hold a license in law, not in real estate, unless it's a state. I don't know. Guess I'm curious to see
That's a
if,
very good question. I
yeah.
never.
So I wonder if they hold a realtor license also, or if it's just licensing, for practicing in law, or if there's like a certain law license requirement. If anybody knows, let me know. I'd just be curious to know, because I haven't actually personally like sat down with a realtor or real estate attorney, but I know that some people do use them when it comes to like writing the
Yeah.
contracts, because I
Yep.
mean that's what they do. They are very detailed on
Mhm.
contracts, they understand every single line on a contract. I'd just be curious to see if they also would, if something were to go awry, with inspection or appraisal or even financing, if they would help with negotiation.
Yeah, that's a good question. And hey, if you're a real estate attorney, I am looking to connect with
Right.
one, because
Same.
I run into so many issues and I'm like, oh boy,
Mhm.
so real estate attorney looking to connect.
Right. Please call us.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you on the podcast too. I feel like that'd be very informative, because I'd just be curious to see like what attorneys do.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's different than what realtors do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that because you've called to ask me questions, when buyers come to you and say, hey, I'm buying a for sale by owner,
Mhm.
how do I fill out the offer? And that puts you in kind of like,
Right. They're like, well, I Googled the forum on Wisconsin. Here's the blank offer to purchase. You want to put in the name of the property and the, like, I said, it's 11 pages long, but there's most of it's like legal jargon. You don't really know what parts of it to fill out. And so you don't understand. So that's important too, is when you don't have that representation, I mean, it's really important, especially now with how everything is going.
Yeah, for sure. And like most sellers, they don't know that you have to fill out, there's documents that are required to sell a property that you need to fill out, and buyers buying a for sale by owner don't know that they should have access to that document with additional information about the property, so it's not easy. It's not, you got it. Yeah. I mean, unless, like you said, if a friend is buying a house from a friend that,
yeah, or if you're buying your house, your parents' old house, or something where it's everything is kind of easy in that. I mean, there's still a lot of things
there is
that are involved in it, but those are maybe a little bit easier to navigate. I mean, I guess it's still nice to have a realtor involved, because in case things do, especially when it comes to family, sometimes, and I've seen it before, when it comes to family, money is always a sore subject.
Sure.
Unless you've already come to terms with it, you get to talk about it, everything is kosher, good to go. That's great. But I've seen it where I've had families fighting over money when it comes to, like, let's say, mom and dad have passed away, brother wants to buy the house, sister wants money, she doesn't agree with how much money you're getting. Like, things can get really messy in regard to that, and it's just, money is a very sore topic for a lot of people, and it can really drive people, apart.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you think that it'll be, yeah, we can do this, no big deal. But yeah, once it gets down to the nitty gritty, I have heard some pretty,
things get real messy.
Absolutely, they do.
And even if people start off kosher, it's like once you go through their process, things become less and less kosher. I feel like that can be the same way for like a divorce too. Everything is, amicable in the beginning until you're going through the actual process, and then all the claws come out. So it's interesting how they think, oh, well, everything is great, and then everything's not great.
Yeah.
And I'm the lender. I'm licensed in lending. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a realtor. I'm not a therapist.
Well, I am a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear all different types of stories, and and I even tell my clients, hey, it's gonna get ugly, especially right now. You're gonna get, the home inspections. You're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna get upset. Call me, vent,
talk it through.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely. I'm here for that. I do not, I'm all in when I sell your property or help you buy your property. I'm not just, well, showed you the house, I wrote the contract, got you accepted offer.
I'll see you on the 23rd.
Yeah, we'll negotiate, things that we need to. But yeah, if you need to vent. If you're having a freak out moment, call me, text me.
Let's talk it through.
Exactly. I actually had a lot of clients that have done that, and they're like, I feel better now.
Yeah,
And I'm
well,
like,
a
okay.
lot of emotion arises in the
Mhm.
process. Like, there's a lot of things going. I mean, there could be happy emotions, sad. I mean, you literally go through the whole spectrum of emotion
Mhm.
when you're going through the home buying process, because there's
Yep.
like a lot involved. You know, your lender's digging deep into your financial past, just like in your credit report, asking you like, why'd you miss a payment on your credit card 6 months ago? Like they dig into all of that. You know, so you feel like you're getting like a financial colonoscopy. Like, what the heck is going on? You know,
A financial colonoscopy. Oh dear God,
it's true.
the
I mean,
stuff you come up with.
but that can be a lot involved. And then you have the home inspection. They say, oh, well, the
Mhm.
foundation is cracked, or you have a water leak here, or you need a new roof. Like, then you got that stress to worry about. And then the appraisal comes in, you know. So there's a lot of things, a
Mhm.
lot of moving parts that can feel very overwhelming,
Mhm.
you know, and to try and navigate that on your own, you know, is not going to be ideal. The same thing, like if you use like an online like lender, you never, if you don't have an actual real person you can call and talk to, it's the same way though, too. You know, they're going to help you through the process, but they're not
Mhm.
actually going to sit there and explain things to you.
Correct.
And I feel like a lot of the frustration, especially when it comes to the lending side, is if you aren't aware of what's going on, you don't
Mhm.
have the communication, you know, open on why do I need this? What's this? I just feel like that helps when you have an
Right.
actual person
Oh, absolutely, it
versus
does.
trying to do it by
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah. And, I have no problem taking calls and talking people off the ledge, because I'm a neutral party, right?
Hmm.
I shouldn't say a neutral party, but I don't have any investment.
Right. You work for your client though.
Correct. So, like, I shouldn't say investment, emotional attachment to your property or to the house that you're buying.
You're like an unbiased person.
There
Yeah.
you
You have
go.
no bias. Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yes, exactly. So and I have seen a lot of scenarios,
Hmm.
and so have, just about any other agent that's been in it for a while.
Right.
They've been through most of the scenarios and they know how to handle it. So it's new to you, you're freaking out, call me.
Right.
I'll be like, shh, we got
Right.
this.
Right. Or let's talk it through and find a solution. There's always ways to
Mhm.
navigate through it. It's just if you're doing it on your own, you're adding that much more pressure
Right.
to you. So if anything does come awry, instead of me having to go to the buyer and then the buyer trying to go to the seller about it, I can just go
Mhm.
to you as the agent, and then you talk to their agent. And then
Yep.
you guys, the agents, you'd be surprised honestly how much the agents do on the back end that that people don't even see. They don't know
Mhm.
like half of what agents do
Correct.
behind the scenes.
Correct.
So and a lot of people when they come to close, they're like, "Oh, that was pretty simple." Well, you probably don't know they put out 15 fires behind the scenes and all these things that came up. Questions, concerns, issues.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of things happen. So then, it's usually the agent's job to help navigate through that and then bring you in as needed. If something
Absolutely.
comes, but they're not going to throw every small little thing at you unless you have to be involved.
Correct.
If you're doing it by yourself, you're going to get involved in every single little thing, and you're going to
Mhm.
ask questions on things you probably don't know the answer to.
Correct.
You
Oh,
know,
absolutely. Yeah.
so I just feel like they probably go that way because they think it's going to be cheaper, which it may be cheaper, but
Are
it
you getting what you deserve for your house?
yeah,
Are you overpricing your house and scaring buyers away?
right.
There's just so much in it. And you see a lot of emotion, especially around the home inspection. So sellers get this 50 to, I don't
It's
know,
insane.
80
Those books are
page.
like literally like a doctor went through every single part and like more. They're basically like a house doctor. They look at literally every moving part of that house.
Right. And so the seller gets this report that's however many pages, over 50 pages,
Mm-hmm.
of everything that's wrong with your house. Okay. The inspector's job is to point everything out so that way the buyer is aware of what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the seller gets this and they're like, so I've been living in a pile of junk.
Yeah, my house
Like,
can just blow up anytime now.
right,
Like,
exactly. I'm shocked it's still standing.
right.
You know, um, excuse me, sorry.
That's cute.
Oh, thank you. Uh, and then, the buyers on the flip side, the buyers get this report that's 50 to 80 pages, and they're like, I'm buying a piece of crap house.
Mm-hmm.
But, then the buyer wants to walk away, or the seller's like, well, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And that's where the agent comes in and go,
Mm-hmm.
okay. this is what you need to look at and you need to pay attention to on both sides, seller and buyer, you
Right.
know? So yeah, that's the home inspection. The home inspector's job is to point out everything that is wrong with the property.
Because they don't want someone to come back at them and be like, hey,
Correct.
you never told me about this. And now my
Correct.
house is burnt down because of you didn't tell me about the
Correct.
electrical sort or whatever.
Correct.
So they need to cover their
Behind.
basis
Yep.
on it, because they are licensed in what they do. And
Correct.
if they don't do it accurately, they could get sued too.
Correct. Yep. So that's why they nitpick everything.
And document all of it. And they have pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures for literally everything.
Yeah. So, it's just most important as buyers to understand that you're buying an older home 9 times out of 10.
So you need to understand what's actually important and what's common, because there is not even on a new construction home, nothing is perfect.
That's true.
There's always going to be something that's not perfect. So you can build a brand new home and there will still be things on there that are not perfect.
Absolutely.
It's just how it is.
It is.
It's just a matter of how severe is the defect or the issue.
Correct. Yeah. So it's really, especially now, it is better to use a real estate agent because we know the market, we know what's going on, we understand home inspections, we understand appraisal issues, and we're the ones that take a lot of stress off of you as a seller or a buyer. You're not sure of something, come to us. And if we're not sure, we know who to contact to get that information, and we're the go-between. We deal with the the listing agent, we deal with the lender, we deal with the inspector, we deal with
title company,
we deal with
appraiser, a lot of people.
Yeah, there's so many people.
There's a lot of people involved.
Yeah, like, hey, who do I contact to get a well and septic inspection? We know who is good out there and who we'd recommend and is going to put, you guys first.
Right.
So
So the representation, so you get what you pay for, literally.
Yeah,
it's kind of how it comes up to.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, for sellers that I've had, there have been times where they're not around and they're like, hey, it's garbage day on Monday, can you take our garbage out for us? Yeah, sure, no problem. So I mean, most agents do kind of do other things as well.
Right. You help out where you can.
Correct. Absolutely. Like going to take pictures of a property and the seller can't be there. And so you're there looking and, oh, okay, clean up this mess quick, move this out of the way for photos, So we're doing that behind the scenes stuff that most people don't see. We don't just turn the key.
Right.
Or put a sign in the yard.
Right.
Or schedule a showing. Like, it is so much more than that.
Right.
So much more.
Right. Well, you had one today where you had somebody come in for a picture to make the bed for them. Like, I mean, it's just the little things like, it's just nice to have someone to be like, oh, I didn't think to do that. So now you're not going to have an unmade bed on your, real estate photos that get posted.
Exactly.
So it's just those small little things that, you just take care of to
Yep.
make everything look, because everything sells better that way too. But
Yep.
yeah, it's just a lot of people, I think, have that misconception that it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's just like you can't go and get a loan without a lender.
Right.
I mean, you can get a house without a realtor, but you know what's wrong with your house that
Right.
you just bought? Do you know?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, I feel like a lot of people are do-it-yourselfers, not just in the real estate profession. A whole bunch of people, I'll just do it myself. I'll just Google it. I'll just YouTube it. I'll just AI it. Like it's good to an extent, but there's people who are professionals in that profession for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge do-it-myselfer, and I probably shouldn't be, but
right.
But every time I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally do that, and then I Google it or AI it, and then I start it, and I'm like, oh.
And this is why you hire people, because I don't want to do that.
Not have done this.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you think everything sounds great, so you actually get into like, oh, I probably should.
Yeah, that's true. It's so true.
Yeah, because you get a little bit, overwhelmed, or it becomes more of a time like consumer than you thought it would be, and.
Yeah, or I'm famous for going, oh, that looks really easy. I could totally do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start it, and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't think about
Right.
this, and I didn't think about that, and I didn't know you had to do that.
Right. Right.
And then I have to call the professional, and then
tell them that you sorted it by yourself, and hopefully they can fix it.
And then they have a bigger mess, and they thank me for it because they learned something.
Yeah. But and then the flip side though too is people can do that for you. Like if they want to start as FSBO and then they said they don't, that it's too much, they can always loop in a realtor, to take over at that point. I'm
Absolutely.
assuming you can't jump in once a contract has been signed though, right?
Yeah, probably not. If a contract, what do you mean contract?
Like if you already have an offer on the house, but then things went awry with the home inspection, or just things are not going as easily as they had hoped it would, are they able to hire you at that point, or is it kind of too late?
It depends. Both parties have to be in agreement at that point because you're under the assumption that you're buying a for sale by owner and buyer and seller are talking together. And then now all of a sudden there's an agent. I mean, both parties have to be aware.
Because then that communication between the buyer and seller usually kind of ends, and then it goes to you. So then they're here, and then you're in the middle usually between both of them at that point.
Correct. And then, like if a seller does loop me in or any agent, then the buyer is now unrepresented. And now they may want their own agent. And then now you both are like, well, I'm not paying for this and I'm not paying for that. So yeah, it becomes a whole sticky mess. So
it's best to have you before contract. I mean, you can try listing it by yourself and then see how that goes, but always hire a realtor at some point if you need to.
Yeah, for sure. Smarter thing to do.
I mean, because it is proven that you do actually make more money, or you get more for your house when you have representation and the stats and everything to back the purchase price and negotiation and all the things.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and we're here to help seller if you hire me, or I'm here to help the buyer if you hire me. So I'm looking out for your best interest always, and that's
and I can help negotiate. I mean, not really negotiate, but I can help talk you through the lending side of it. But that's only that's a very large part of it, but that's not the only part of it.
Right.
So I can only talk to. I'm not going to tell the seller anything about finance because that's not their information to know.
Correct.
So I just tell the buyer, and then it's their job to relay it if they need to the seller, like when it comes to the appraisal contingency or it comes to the financing contingency or any of those things. So I can help coach the buyer through the process, but that's about it. I can't help with the contract. I can't help negotiate anything. I can say, hey, this is what happened. Typically, this is what the agent will take care of, but now you need to take care of it and write draft amendments and all the things.
So here's a question for you on a FSBO. Buyer and seller are working it out. Okay. All of a sudden the appraisal comes in undervalue, or there's something wrong with the loan. Can the seller, like you have the buyer, obviously. Now, can the seller reach out to you and get information?
I cannot. The buyer has to give me permission to do so. So if something comes up on the inspection or on the appraisal that says that it's subject to these defects, or it says your value is actually only this versus what you bought it for, so it comes in under value, the buyer is the one who paid for the appraisal. So if they want information on that, this buyer has to explicitly consent to it to give it to the seller.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, again.
Yeah, because the buyer's the one that paid for it. So the seller has no rights to it unless the buyer agrees to give it to them. And that usually only happens, because usually that happens if the home comes under value. I know the listing agents usually want a copy of the appraisal to see what the comps were that the appraiser used, so that they can compare it to what they used when they pulled the listing, when they created their price. So I know often that does happen, where the buyer will agree to release it to the seller so that way they can look at the comps. But other than that, the seller does not get a copy of the report, and that's at the borrower's discretion if they give it to them or not.
Yeah, so I mean, think about that as selling FSBO. How are you going to handle that if it comes in undervalue?
Well, and if it comes in undervalue, here's one other thing too: is if it comes in undervalue because you thought that it was worth this, it comes in at this, but you want to fight that it's worth that, you need to provide statistics. Like you need to pull up recent comparable sales in the past 12 months to prove why you think your home was worth $400,000. It came in at $380,000. Like you have to prove it. And most people don't have access to the MLS. I don't think anyone has access to the MLS to pull recent sales to show like why that value supports it. And that's where a realtor comes in and does that. Now, if the home comes in under value and you don't have a realtor, I doubt a realtor is going to come in and be like, oh yeah, here you go.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
like you have to, if you truly believe that your home is worth more than what the appraiser says, you have to prove it. You can't just be like, well, my Zillow said my house is worth this, like that's what I'm going to sell it for. Like that's not how it works, because the appraisal is based on recent comparable sales. That's important to understand too, is just because a house sold for X amount, 2 years ago, the market is different now. So the appraiser is based on the last 12 months, preferably sooner. They want anything the most recent, and the appraiser usually gets between like 3 and 5 comparable sales. The closer to the property, the better. Bedroom count, square footage, bathroom, all that kind of stuff. But the values are based on recent sales, not based on like, well, my neighbor sold their house for this. Okay, well, you have one less bedroom, or you have 1,000 less square feet. You have a bigger backyard and updated kitchen, but they have a finished basement, and like there's so many different things, and the appraisers weigh in on what the value is, a positive or a negative on your home compared to those ones. So, and that's where a lot of the research comes from realtors, is looking at that. So you do the same research that appraisers do, basically, when it comes to comparable sales.
Correct. And that's how I price homes as well.
Right.
Before I go into a home, I kind of have a base number of where I'm thinking a range. And then, after I come in and I talk with you and I walk through the property and get all the updated information, then I get the more accurate price from there.
Right. But that's how you get your proof, because you didn't just say, oh yeah, we can sell for this. Like we need to actually find where that number is going to come from, because the appraiser is going to be doing the same exact thing.
Yep.
They're going to be like, well, where the heck did that number even come from? And then you have a big problem.
Yes, because now you got to backtrack and try and figure it out. So
if you can't prove it, and the buyer says, no, I'm only going to pay what the home appraised at, then you're going to have to negotiate back to the appraisal value or cancel the contract. But if you cancel the contract, odds are the home isn't going to appreciate by 30 grand, with the next buyer.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't just miraculously change, because most appraisers use the exact same database. So even if you get a different appraiser, they all have the same information. Like the recent sales are not going to change,
right?
based on based on the appraiser. It's all like information in their systems. I'm not sure what system exactly they use, but I'm sure it's similar to what you guys have for recent sales. Like you can't just go online and type in, okay, what's sold in the past 30 days by me? Okay, yep, my house is worth that. Like that's not. There's a lot involved, and some people think things hold more value than they actually do. Also.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
So there's a lot involved in the process, where if you have the representation to sell your house or to buy a house, it's highly encouraged to do so, because sometimes the process is super easy, which does happen, but sometimes it's not. So everything is great till it's not. And then when it's not, you're going to be, you wish you had somebody to help take away that stress, because now not only do you have the stress of that, but now odds are you're probably moving. You probably are packing your own stuff. You probably have, your own clothing to get to, your own whatever. Like, so now you have all of this on your shoulders plus everything else. So it's easier to have somebody that you can like offset that too.
Yeah. And as a seller selling FSBO, do you know the different loan programs
or how they work?
Dang. Yeah. That's the thing, is like, okay, we just accepted a government backed loan, like an FHA. Do you know what is coming? So, and how to handle that stuff, so it is honestly, yeah. Protect yourself. Get an agent.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because in the end, it's not, there is a fee, but it's not like you're going to walk away owing money or something. So they take a lot of stress off your shoulder, and it makes it easier for communication all around also.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it helps take the emotion out of the transaction too, because there's a lot of emotion. Especially if you own that home for like 50 years, if that's your family's house, there's a lot of emotion that can happen. Or if you're trying to sell it through a divorce, like there's a lot of emotion, held in that process.
Absolutely.
So putting an unbiased person in the middle kind of makes everything more streamlined, maybe you want to say?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, and for situations where one party isn't getting along with the other party as far as selling goes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as the agent, you're kind of the middle person, right? You want the best outcome for both sellers. So you're there to listen to one side vent and you're there to listen to the other side vent. And then, we're problem solvers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to get to the same common ground here?
Mm-hmm.
So, once we get sellers on the same common ground and understanding, then now you've got the buyers that may come in and may be upset about A, B, and C. So then now you got to talk with the other agent and go, okay, how can we make this work so it's beneficial to my seller? And they're like, well, it needs to be beneficial to my buyer,
Obviously.
right? So then you negotiate there. You talk back and forth. So I would definitely say that realtors should hold a counseling license.
You have like a you have an associate's degree in therapy.
Yeah, I have a BS in counseling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I just think it's something that seems to be becoming more and more common because I see a lot of people listing their homes on a lot of the Facebook
Yeah.
posts and all the community pages and everything. So just I'm seeing a lot of it now because I get it. Times are tough. I truly do get it. Like I understand
Yes,
you
they
you
are.
want to save as many pennies as you can. Like I get it, but sometimes it's better to have somebody help you because odds are you may just end up walking with more than what you thought you were going to.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's great to cut corners. I mean, I like
Right.
cheap things
Right.
and
Right.
saving money.
I'm the same way when it
But
comes to crafts. I'm like, oh, why would I buy that when I can
yeah,
make it myself? And tenants are like, God dang it.
but yeah, you have to know where to cut corners and where not to cut
Right.
corners. There's just certain things that you'll thank yourself later for.
Right. Yeah. So again, if there's also to backtrack, any real estate attorneys, please
Yes.
reach out. I'd love to connect.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I think there's a lot that we can learn from them too.
Yeah, because there's times that I actually do need a real estate attorney, for one of my clients. And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, who do I go to?
Right. You don't want to call some random person. You want to call somebody that's reliable that you can trust. That's a big deal.
Yes. Yeah. Usually everybody I recommend to buyers or sellers is somebody that I have used. Like I don't make recommendations unless I've used them.
Right. You don't just Google like, oh yeah, call this person.
Yep.
Like you actually truly know how they work.
Yep. And if there is somebody that, I don't know and I'll Google, whoever, or I'll talk to other agents like, hey, who do you recommend? I always tell the seller or the buyer, like, hey, I have never used this company or this person, but I've heard.
Right. Other agents have recommended,
Correct. Yes. Do your homework.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. Well, I think that sums up FSBOs
It does.
and why using agents may be a little bit better for you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.